All right, Michael Jackson fans, go ahead and find your favorite fedora, find your shiny glove, get your glitter socks on, and if you have any kind of jacket that looks even remotely like Thriller, Beat It, or Billie Jean, you better grab it. And I'm not talking about grabbing your crotch like Michael did during the Bad, Dangerous, and his eras after that. We're talking Michael Jackson on this video. Yes, this is my first interview with a fellow YouTuber, JD, or Jason David from History in the Mix, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels that focuses on music. And this was a channel I came across a couple years ago. I want to say it wasn't too long after I had quit my job at the call center to do YouTube full time, and I just instantly loved this channel. This young man has quite the archive of videos that go over, Michael's career, his albums, his life outside of music. And I have to say I'm very impressed. And hopefully this will be the first of many interviews or collaborations with other YouTubers talking about their channels, how they got started. And I can't wait for you to see this interview. I mean, like I said before, I hope this is the first of many. So before going further, if you go down to the comments, I'll have a pinned comment to the top of the comment section. It will have links to JD's social media. Be sure to show his YouTube channel some love. Trust me, I feel like there's something there for everyone, from, discussions about Quincy Jones, We Are the World. Also, a lot of videos that break down, the albums, like, oh, here's a video ranking the songs on Thriller or Off the Wall. But what I really like about the channel is how JD goes in depth on certain topics. It's just a very, very, very diverse channel about all things Michael. And he also is a musician in his own right, or a singer in his own right. He has his own music out as well as a podcast. And I will link all of that below. So guys, I hope you enjoy this interview. And if there are any other YouTubers who you would like me to kind of collaborate with for future interviews, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. And if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, follow me on my social media. Links are in the description box below as always. Hit subscribe because, well, a subscribe today helps me hit 1 million subscribers tomorrow. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content. And get the video a thumbs up. Show me you like it. Seriously. It really does help. All right, Michael Jackson fans. Now, if you've been on the channel long enough, sometimes I go out of the realm of Tyler Perry and the usual dramas I review and talk about things pop culture. Today, we're going to talk about the music, the man, the king of pop, the man in the mirror, the guy who wanted to heal the world, good old Michael Jackson. And I could not do a discussion like this without one of the biggest MJ fans that I've become aware of on the internet as the past I want to say over the past 3 years. Give it up for our guest today, Jason David, aka JD from the phenomenal channel. Guys, check it out. The channel is called History in the Mix. Welcome to the channel, JD.
Hey, I don't know, phenomenal is the right word, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Well, just so you know, I came across JD's channel a couple years ago. Ironically enough, I want to say I came across your channel right around the time I quit my call center job to do YouTube full time, because I remember at that point, I needed like I was watching a lot of YouTube while I was working on my own channel, editing videos and self-promoting on social media. And some of the early works on your channel to me are some of my favorites. I mean, just to name a couple off the beginning of the interview before we go into the questions, the Michael Jackson Halloween, I believe, wasn't like a generic title like Michael Jackson's Halloween special.
Yeah, it was like Spooky Halloween or something like that. I don't remember, but
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it was a great special, but it wasn't as memorable because it's like it came out and then that was it. Like,
yeah, you couldn't
yeah,
watch it anywhere.
sadly. And of course, another one I remember coming out that I remember laughing so hard. It was your reaction video to the announcement of the Michael Jackson Scream compilation album.
Oh God, I would have been, I don't know, I would have still would have been in junior high when all that happened.
I know you
Didn't
had
I
to
throw
trash.
it in the trash or
You,
something like that?
I remember, if I remember correct, I watched it a few days ago. I remember you had the trash can. I think you threw it in the trash in one video, and then the next one you had your gloves on and you dug it out of the trash to review. Yeah, that's right. You had it. You threw it in the trash at the end of the announcement of the track listing, and then in your like reaction or review of it, you took it out of the trash, then you put it back in there. Man, like for real, guys, check out his channel is phenomenal. Like Michael Jackson fans will love it. If you're a music fan, you'll love it. So let's just dive into it, because what we're going to do, since we're both MJ fans, I'm going to initiate the questions and we'll go back and forth with the answers. But the first question for JD is, how did you become a Michael Jackson fan?
I'm I don't really tell this story on the channel a lot because people think I'm lying. When Michael died in 2009, I would have been 6. And I remember it very vividly. I was out to dinner with my family, and the TV was on, and it was CNN, and they were talking about it. And I asked my mom who it was, and we listened to Beat It and Thriller on the way home, and that was it for me ever since then.
Oh man, I mean, that's honestly how it goes sometimes, where you randomly hear some music when you're out and about, whether it be walk around Target or Walmart or just driving from point A to point B, and then you want to do a little research and then you become a fan. I know for
Yeah.
me, it's kind of generic, but I think it just comes from me from being a fan because my mom would have a lot of records playing. Like usually the music my parents listened to, I became, fans of. But I remember the memes that go around. It's like, on Saturday when you wake up and hear loud music, you got to clean.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So I know for me, just because I got a few vinyls myself,
Hmm.
like I don't know about you. Well, actually, I think you do have a vinyl player, right? Like in some of your
Yeah, I do.
videos, you show it all.
Yeah,
I know for me, my vinyls, I keep them wrapped up because I listen to most
me
of my
too.
music digitally. I mean, if I ever get a vinyl player, maybe one day I'll open them up. But just here are a few of my vinyls that, again, whenever I do live streams on the channel, one way or another, I end up showing one, and then music is the topic. So, got Off the Wall, classic. Got Thriller, of course.
Very nice.
Yep.
Are all those remasters?
I think these are the originals because I
Okay,
found them
sweet.
like at Walmart and FYE and Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, then Bad. And this was Dangerous. My favorite album cover of all time. But then when I saw the Michael album art, I'm like, it's a tough call.
Yeah.
Like the Michael album itself, that can go in the trash with Scream. But in
Yeah.
terms of the cover art,
Mm-hmm.
I can't lie, but Dangerous is one of those things where every time I remember looking at it as a kid, I would see something different that I didn't notice the first time. But I remember Thriller, that music video, for the longest time I couldn't watch it because my sister, I do not love, I don't like horror films at all, like anything like that. So at the beginning of Thriller, when he and the girl are walking on the street and his eyes change, like, go away, I'm like, that would
Yeah.
scare me to death. So it wasn't until after he passed in 2009 that I was able to watch the entire thing. Like I watched, like, of course, the time from when they're in the movie theater to that the end of the music video, but I can never watch that first part. But I can finally do it after he died, sadly. But
Yeah.
MJ, just inspiration. When you grow up around the music, and again, the fact that we share the same birthday of August 29th, every birthday, it would just be nonstop Michael Jackson on television. Jackson's The American Dream, top 10 crazy MJ facts, all those things. So Michael was always a part of my life because I grew up around that atmosphere. And speaking of, how we became fans, I got to ask this next question. What inspired you to start your YouTube channel?
See, when I started, there's a bunch of Michael channels now that I collaborate with and I really like, but this is going to sound really egotistical. I was one of the first, if not the first, to make this kind of content. There's a YouTube channel called Nostalgia Critic where he breaks down movies. And I was like, what if I did that, but just about Michael Jackson?
I love that
And so
channel.
that's kind of where I got my whole flow from. And then it expanded on from there. And then a lot of cool people started doing Michael content, and I got to work with them. It was really hard in the early days because there was barely anybody to work with. But now there's a bunch of cool people that I love to talk to.
Oh, who are some of your favorite ones? 'Cause I think we might be in the same fan group, so to speak. I know, what is it, MJ Fangirl?
Yeah, MJ fangirl, she's great. She
Love her
passed me in
channel.
subs.
Oh,
She's great.
that's great.
um, MJ Buzz, who I did a video with, is really cool. He's fairly new. Um, and then podcasts, MJ Cast, people like those. Those aren't necessarily YouTubers, but I love those people a lot. It's a great community. I've never met anybody that I just downright hate personally, like seriously, but they're all pretty great.
Okay, I'm jotting down those names right now so I can look them up later.
Mhm.
Okay. Cause let's see here. I know for me, obviously not a Michael Jackson focused channel myself, but I
Mhm.
like how you describe your origin story, so to speak, because that's how I started. I remember when it came to the haves and the have-nots, the show I review, the show came on. I was just tweeting about it, and one of the
Mhm.
cast members responded to one of my tweets. This was way back when Twitter only had 140 characters, so
Yeah, I
I was
remember that.
tweeting up a storm. And one of the cast, I asked them a question and they responded. It's like, so what do you think? And then I started a WordPress blog. So I was
Mhm.
blogging about the show, typing up episode reviews, theories, and then I built a fan base around that.
Mhm.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, Facebook groups. So I was building this fandom before ever doing my first YouTube video. And I think it was around, well, in college, I was doing fun videos with friends of mine, like
Mhm.
impressions of like some of the campus authorities and fun little rap music videos about campus. I went to
Yeah.
Liberty University in
Mhm.
Lynchburg. So it was pretty interesting doing that kind of content at a Christian school. So
Yeah.
I did my first Tyler Perry video when a friend was like, yo, take your voice, get a microphone, and start doing videos because more people watch videos and listen to videos and read blogs.
Mhm.
So that was my thing. When I first started, I wanted to do like anime stuff. Like, what if I did a Dragon Ball channel? Cause I saw a few people doing it, but I had a lot of
Mhm.
thoughts on it myself. But again, like you, it's like, what could I do to stand out? Like what
Yeah.
lane hasn't been carved out by other people? So that's why I started the haves and the have nots. Now I review like 10 of the shows, and here I
Mhm.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool when you think about it. I mean, look at MJ. He felt like he had something inside of him that he wanted to share with the world that he couldn't do in a group. So he went
Yeah.
solo, and the rest is history in the mix.
Mhm. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that.
All right, which leads to the next question, because I know you brought this up. I think you did a video on this, and I'll ask the question first. But what are some of your favorite Michael Jackson albums and songs from his solo years as well as the
Mhm.
group projects? Now, if I recall correctly, you mentioned in the video that you were more a fan of the later music of the Jacksons rather than the early hits of the Jackson Fives, correct?
Yeah, easily. I don't know. The early Jackson stuff's Jackson 5 stuff's great, but I just don't listen to it very much. But if you're talking Triumph, Victory, all of those I think hold up fairly well if you're a Michael fan.
Yeah.
But even then, even the later solo Michael stuff like History, not Invincible, but Dangerous, all that I like more than like, well, I'm not going to say more than Off the Wall, but I would even top the Jackson stuff with that. But when it comes to my favorite album's History, I don't know. I love it. I love the songwriting. I just think everything about it's great. Songs, there's a song called We've Had Enough that was a demo that came out on the Ultimate Collection compilation. One of the greatest songs of all time, I think. I don't know how that wasn't a single or put on an album, but that would easily be my favorite song of Michael's.
That's great. I know for me, I grew up, of course, with Michael ever since I was a kid. So I want you back, ABC,
Mm-hmm.
and it really, I think your video made me go back and listen to the Jackson albums more because
Mm-hmm.
as I was growing up, the Jackson hits that I only knew about were like "Shake Your Body,"
Mm-hmm.
"Blame It on the Boogie," "Torture." One of my favorites. I love that one, and I think that was about it from just it. Well, I don't know what group this label under, but I know it was like the 2300 Jackson Street. That isn't
Yeah.
one of my favorites, but I know of it, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that one bomb. Because I remember just looking up all the information on the albums and the sales, and then I just noticed, oh wow, this,
Exists.
yeah, it's like it went double plywood. I don't know what happened. That was ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I know that for me, as I got older, I really wondered about what would it have been like to be one of his siblings after Thriller. Like
Yeah.
the little kid who I just think about like jealousy and animosity. Like, imagine being Jermaine. If I remember correctly, Jermaine was like the original lead singer
Yeah.
until Michael was, pretty much brought in. And so as a kid, as like a preteen or however old he was, and Michael's like, you look at your kid brother take over the group. Well, Joe
Yeah.
wanted the group to be together regardless. Joe was ahead of
Mm-hmm.
everything, but to see your kid brother lead the group, you're all superstars, and then he's
Mm-hmm.
the star, and then he goes solo. Well, before he even technically goes solo, puts out Off the Wall, and
Yeah.
then Thriller, and then after that, oh, we're going on the final tour. And then when I realized the turmoil that was going on behind the scenes during the Victory album
Mm-hmm.
saga, it was insane. From like the ticket sales to that album feeling like everyone wanted to be a writer or a producer, because it's like, well, if Michael can do it, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what could have been like. People talk about the Prince and Michael collaboration that never happened. I really
Mm-hmm.
think about, there was a book I bought. I think it was called like Michael Jackson Rewind. I bought it at Barnes and Noble. It's a book
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of starts from like back from the end of his life to the beginning. That's how it reads. And
Mm-hmm.
there was one page, and it blew my mind because I never thought about it. Michael, instead of doing the Thriller tour, which would have made the album honestly possibly bigger than it already was,
Yeah.
he went on the Victory tour. And I'm like, that explains why Purple Rain exploded the very next year, because
Mm.
Mike was with the family as opposed to doing his solo thing.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. But I
Mm.
also like what you said about History and Invincible. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the first time I listened to those albums, I don't think I really appreciated them for what they were, because Invincible felt like there were too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, so many. When I looked
Yeah.
at the credits for like the writers, producers, I'm like, I didn't know where the album was going. I know for
100%.
me, You Rock My World, because Chris Tucker was in the music video,
Mm-hmm.
and Butterflies, hands down.
Yeah.
I
There's
think
some great ones on there, but it's just all together. It doesn't listen very well, I don't think.
I think it was like 40 plus minutes long or something like that. It was a sit
Yeah.
through. It was a sit through.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, I feel like you probably got this game without a doubt. Michael Jackson, The Experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got that for Connect and 3DS. That's how I learned a lot of the history songs. Like, or was it on Blood on the Dance Floor? What was the one that had money on it? Was that
Uh, well, they're on both of them, but history first.
History? Okay, because I know History had the two discs. The first disc was a compilation of best hits, I
Mm-hmm.
think, and then the second one had like just new tracks from top to bottom, and the
Yeah.
"You Are Not Alone's," and the
Mm-hmm.
that's the only one I remember from that album.
I'm trying to think of like that. Well, Earth songs on there.
Isn't Childhood on
Um,
that one?
yes.
Childhood, that was another good one.
Um,
Stranger in Moscow.
yes. Yes. That's track 3, I think.
One of my
Amazing.
one of my favorite ones on there. And then let's see, moving from the music itself, what are some of your favorite Michael Jackson projects that aren't related to the music, but what he did,
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, like maybe movies or philanthropy, well, charity and whatnot?
Yeah. Yeah. I got to give a shout out to the video for Say Say Say. I mean, I think that's kind of in the thing of music, but that's my favorite piece of film of all time. And then Ghosts is very, very cool. But if you're talking like charity and stuff, the Heal the World Foundation is really cool. Just that
Yeah.
whole idea is amazing. He did the whole Dangerous tour, and he donated everything that he made to that, which I think it's great. And then his son Prince picked it up recently, and so it's back and it's a working foundation again. I think that whole thing is just a genius idea, and I cannot believe it's still working out for him. And I think that's great.
Yeah, it's always good. So even though after his passing, when people try to tarnish his name and legacy, there's always that trail of good and positivity that lives
Mm.
on beyond the music itself. And I know some of the Michael Jackson stuff, like whenever I saw your videos and I saw a particular book on your shelf, I'm like, me and this guy, we're on the same
Mm-hmm.
wavelength. The Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jackson King of Pop book.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bought this at Ollie's some years ago. I remember just reading through this on campus, or whenever I'm like in the car dealership getting an oil change or something. This is usually in my backpack, and I'm reading it. And I know you did a talent show one time. What was it? You did Billie Jean?
Yeah, in like 8th grade.
Yeah.
Um, people love that video for some reason. I hate it. I even deleted it because I hate it. But yeah, it was a big part of, I don't know, growing up for me. It's when I started to show out and perform and stuff like that, because I do music now. So that was my first little inkling of performance. And take it as you will, I guess.
Yeah, I feel you. One of the first videos on my channel, let's see, a couple of them were just rap battles from a
Mm,
talent show on campus. And then one, I think like the third video, it's a Michael Jackson's. There was a zombie walk in downtown Lynchburg, and I had my
mm,
Thriller jacket and everything, and I won the Thriller dance competition. Like
mm,
everybody was zombies, but I was the only one who was Michael. I had the Thriller jacket
yeah.
on, so I had my glove. Just some stuff I bought from when I was in college from eBay. Let's see. This was the first jacket I bought. This was the Motown 25 Billie Jean jacket. I got this I got this one on eBay, definitely.
Mm,
Billie Jean sequins. And the Thriller jacket. This is like the generic Halloween City jacket. Definitely
mm.
got this in like 2010. And
Yeah, I don't have that. I have Beat It, but I don't have Thriller
And then
jacket.
this one is my favorite because it came from China. It's legit leather, the Beat It jacket.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
the one I
wore this
have.
to a talent show. I didn't participate, but I had floor seats, so it was
Mm,
80s theme. I had my aviators on, I had the glove on. People were taking photos, and there was a moment where there was a Michael Jackson segment. I was on the floor just dancing, and like the chancellors, well, probably not the best to tell that story because of recent news, but yeah,
mm,
the wife came over, a bunch of kids. We were
mm,
just dancing, having a good time. That was a fun night. But I
mm,
think for me, there were a lot of projects that the charity related stuff, hands down. I just love the fact that you have a guy who's literally on top of the world and he's trying his
mm,
best to heal it. So anytime there was like bad publicity or what have you, or certain documentaries and whatnot, I always think back to the positivity because there's always going to
mm,
be people throwing negativity your way, but he still was doing what he could to make the lives of other people better. And I just appreciate that
mm,
so much about him. And let's see, before just to get to the last question, I still have other things I wanted to bring up.
mm,
When we talk about, Michael Jackson, what he meant to us and other fans, and, obviously things haven't been looking up per se based off certain things that haven't come out from the state yet. And,
mm,
certain documentaries. And I will say this much, despite the negativity over the past couple of years due to that project, I really love seeing the fans come together, just because the
mm,
fact that it's like, oh, we're not going to take this lying down. MJ, he's not going to be dug up to be used from some
mm.
propaganda. We're going to remember this man for the good and amazing person he was. What are some of your hopes for the future of Michael Jackson and his legacy?
Um, I really want good remastered albums. You know, they tried to do it 2010 when he died, but like because the Beatles, they have remasters every year, an album or so, and they sound great. And I feel like Michael's really lacking in that area because if you stream the music, you know, it sounds fine, but it could sound better in the overall remaster and the quality. So that's something I hope they try to do. Now, Spike Lee did the documentaries of Bad and Off the Wall. They definitely need more of those for Thriller. I don't know how Thriller didn't get done, but I'm sure that'll come at some point. So basically, not making, you know, the documentary could be a new thing, but also rephrasing what already came. So remasters and stuff for the new generation, because I've got friends, you know, I'm a senior in high school now, so I'll show Michael stuff to them and they'll be like, oh man, why does it sound like that? Why does it sound like a cassette tape that's been, you know, destroyed? And so I'm like, you know, it came out in the 80s and, you know, so they really need to work on that. But like, if you go to Escape, if you even go to Invincible, it sounds great. But like, especially the middle Jackson 5 stuff sounds terrible. So all of that needs to be done. It's very hard, and I will give the estate a pass on this, that there is so much, you know, there's 50 plus years of stuff to work on, but
Yeah.
you know, but they've had 10, and what have they done with it? So it's just something you need to work through, and they need to work through everything. Don't just focus on Thriller, don't just focus on Bad. There's so much there, and there's so much time, but you've still got to try and work through it.
I agree. And it really goes back to talking about those albums that don't get brought up into discussion enough. Like when you think Michael Jackson, the first thing you usually think of is Thriller, Bad, Off the
Yeah.
Wall, and the Jackson 5 stuff. But I remember Bad 25. I think I was in maybe my second year of college. I remember seeing the original snippet, like the little tease of it. And when I
Yeah.
saw the crisp quality of The Way You Make Me Feel,
Yes.
that blew my mind. It's like you knocked me off of my feet, and then he went woo, and I was like, okay, I gotta watch this. And
I know
I
the
remember
exact teaser you're talking about. Oh my God.
it's classic. I remember at that time the only place you can, I don't know if they changed where you can buy it, but I think the only place you could buy it when it originally came out was on the Michael Jackson website.
I don't know anything about that, but I watched it when it came out on ABC.
Yeah.
I was too young to appreciate it, but I've rewatched it since then, and that is just amazing. There's a Blu-ray somewhere, and I want to try to get it, but I can't find it because they like stopped making them for some reason. I would love to see it in like great quality, but the only things you can access like online are like 480p. They're just as bad as like the Thriller videos now, so that's unfortunate. But it's an amazing documentary, and I strongly recommend it to anyone that wants to learn more about that era.
Exactly. And that's the thing I love about the document. And then Off the Wall came out. What was it? Journey from
Yes.
Motown to Off the Wall. I got that one
Mm-hmm.
too. Um, I'm a documentary junkie. I love those
Same.
kind of things because it makes me appreciate movies, different actors. And when it comes to music, I love learning about the journey to a specific album. Like even if there are
Mm-hmm.
tracks I don't really care about, once I understand why they were made, I gain a new appreciation for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the same way about like Off the Wall, just learning about that. Because again, when you think Off the Wall, all I think about are Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. And that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
The other tracks that come right after that in my mind, She's Out of My Life, which honestly is a contender to go toe to toe with one of my other favorite Michael Jackson songs, Human Nature, just because
Mm-hmm.
both songs are like so beautiful. They showcase the falsetto. Well, no, I think Don't Stop Till You Get Enough does that more than She's Out of My Life. But She's Out of My Life, whenever I was going through something for girl, that was the song. It's like,
Yeah, I
Michael knew what I
agree.
was going through. Michael knew what I was going
Mm-hmm.
through. But I said, if Spike did just Thriller, I'll be
Yes.
satisfied. After the two we already got, that will be good. Don't get me wrong
Mm-hmm.
now. Dangerous, History, Invincible, and you could argue for Blood on the Dance Floor and Ghost. I would like those two because again, I feel like they would give me more appreciation for those
Mm-hmm.
bodies of work. But aside from that, I know that the remasters is something that we really need because
Desperately.
another just random example, like when it comes to anime stuff, like I watched Yu Yu Hakusho for the first time ever last October, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
most people wouldn't go back and watch a show that looks like the old school anime compared to the new
Mm-hmm.
art style they have now. Same with music.
Yeah.
Or people are going to listen to the current stuff or remasters of the old stuff rather than
Mm-hmm.
a cassette sounding quality Michael Jackson or Temptations track.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's just Michael was so film oriented, and I feel like that's such a big part of his legacy that we can't appreciate as much as we could. Obviously, that's what Michael intended, like that quality and stuff, because that's what he was with. But if Michael was here, he would be right in the head of all that. And
Yeah.
I just the first thing I would have done when I was the head of the estate would be that. And the fact that they haven't even attempted that at all is crazy to me, mind-boggling.
That's a real shame to think about because you're talking about the man who revolutionized the music video platform. And now
Mm-hmm.
it looks like he's the one behind in where it's headed
Yeah.
in regards to the quality of it. But I think about what's another Prince's Friend. That's another YouTube channel. I think I
Yeah.
discovered his channel around the time as yours. Cause I'm like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
got a Michael channel and a Prince channel. And I
Yeah.
was just watching his unboxing video for the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe
Mm-hmm.
Edition. And I'm just like, the other estates are doing it right. Like they're
Yeah.
putting out the older albums. And I think one of your more recent videos talked about that, how
Mm-hmm.
the MJ estate was like bragging about, oh, how we're the best and everything. And I'm like,
The envy was the quote. The envy of every other musician estate.
right, envy people. Yeah, envy
Yeah.
because the estate is so great compared to these other estates that are putting out what the people are asking for. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically I could afford those like deluxe edition packs. So I'm like, I can wait. They're more of
Yeah.
those coffee table or shelf things. And like I mentioned at the beginning, like my vinyls are more so like for show purposes or
Yeah.
collectors purposes rather than playing them. And I know you did a video once about like the picture disc albums.
Yeah. Yeah. Very uneducated, I think. There's a few facts in there that aren't right, but
My mom loves them. I'm like, nah, I'm good with just the old school album format. I mean, the picture disc
yeah.
look cool, but I think I like the originals myself. And
Hmm.
another thing is the fact that I really do love learning about the MJ stories. Like, sad to say, but whenever a big figure passes away, you feel like you get to know them more as people when people come out with these stories about,
Hmm.
they did this for me or we had a fun time together. And I think one of my favorites has to be when, what was it, Magic Johnson was just talking about how
Yeah.
I was just chilling in Michael's house. We were just sitting on the floor and he was eating KFC from the bucket. I'm like, Michael Jackson likes Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think that was a story
Yeah.
he said at the memorial at the
Hmm.
Staples Center. That feels like a lifetime ago. Like I remember it like yesterday. Me and my sister just sitting on the couch watching it on CNN, and I know that everybody was just, they were bringing the what was it, Jennifer Hudson, she did Will
Hmm.
You Be There, and Mariah Carey did I'll Be There, and the list goes on. But I think when it comes to Michael Jackson's legacy, what I what I really love is, well, over the past couple of years I've seen more people have been recognizing Michael for the talent rather than the controversy, at least from
Hmm.
what I've seen. If you
Yeah.
subtract the huge like the documentaries and whatnot that are
Hmm.
promoting this foulness and whatnot. But I think that overall the legacy is in good hands amongst the fan base. But in terms of the
Yeah.
estate, you're right. There are some projects that I wish they would create, promote, and push to the forefront. But
Hmm.
aside from Michael, what are some of your favorite artists? Like I think it goes without saying that I know one right off the rip, but it might
Yeah.
not be behind you right now, but
Yeah. Big Beatles fan and their solo careers. I love Bowie, Elton John. Uh, Trying to think, I would know. The band Oasis, I really love. So yeah, it branches a lot more than just Michael. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I try to put it across.
yeah, I noticed that in some of the videos where obviously if you click on JD's channel, you automatically think Michael Jackson, but he goes in deep sometimes where he brings up. I think there was one video where you brought up Paul McCartney's new album at the time, or new single.
Mm,
I want to
yeah,
say it was around the time where Thriller was no longer the number one highest selling album in the US. And I think
yeah,
towards
that sounds right.
you brought it up. I remember being so mad at that because that happened, I want to say right around the time of my birthday or MJ's birthday. And I was
Hmm.
like, you made such a good point. It's like people can say what they want about Michael Jackson, but he has the highest selling album of all time. It's like,
Yeah,
he don't now. So what
yikes.
what what, what do we got? What do we got?
I
And
actually got in trouble for making that with the fans because they thought like I controlled it or something. I was the one that said that. And there are some crazy people on YouTube.com.
you got
But
that right.
yeah, I got I kind of got canceled for that, and it was crazy. But and now it's not the highest viewed, but it's one of the highest views, and I like that video. I think.
He was really
Uh,
good.
yeah, but no, the whole thing's crazy. It's still going on, and there's still no answers on if it was real, if it wasn't. But who knows?
I mean, because I love when you bring up things like what was it, Taylor Swift surpassed Michael for like the
Hmm.
most, what was it, the most AMAs or something along those lines.
Yeah,
I know it was one
yeah,
of those award shows. Oh, and what is it, recently she surpassed Whitney Houston for the most weeks that a female artist's album was at the top of billboards. I believe that was like
hmm,
several days ago for Folklore. um
yeah,
I'm a Taylor fan, but Folklore wasn't my genre, so I really
yeah. I
wasn't.
haven't heard it.
Yeah, I listened to like three songs, like, nah, this ain't for me. Because I know growing going to Liberty, and well, there are few black people compared to white people, so I was listening to a lot of music that I wasn't really privy to back at home. Like I knew of Taylor Swift, some of her early stuff. I really like Our Song, You Belong With Me. But then
Mhm.
what was that one song, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together? You could not
Yeah,
step outside of your, people would just be driving by with the song. I'm like, oh. But I gotta admit, 1989, probably my favorite album by her. The Shake It
Mhm.
Off. Yeah, that's because that came out right when I started that call center job. So I have a little bit of
Mhm.
nostalgia there.
Yeah, I have that album. I bought it. I don't remember any other track off of it besides "Shake It Off" and like the big hits. But yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard her discography, but I'd say that's my favorite too. If somebody asked me.
Yeah, I got this at Target last month on the clearance bin. This is the Lover album.
Mhm.
And yeah, 1989. I got this one at Walmart 2 months ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite one because when I say favorite album, I usually look at the track listing and pick like the most songs that I love off there versus the
Yeah.
ones I don't really like. Welcome to New York, Blank Space, Style, Out of the Woods, All You Had to Do Was Stay, Shake It Off, I
Mhm.
Wish You Would, Bad Blood, Wildest Dreams. Okay, that's one of my favorite ones.
Mhm.
How You Get the Girl, This Love, I Know Places, and Clean. Yeah, it's probably
Mhm.
my favorite one overall. But what was the one documentary Taylor Swift Miss Americana? That was like her documentary on
Mhm.
Netflix. Another prime example of documentaries where it makes me appreciate the albums more.
Mhm. I
And
watched that. It was great.
yeah, it really was. I love the in-depth insight because she disappeared for like a year and then she came
Mhm.
back and did her thing. But more to the point of the Taylor comparison, why I brought her up, I just think about how when certain artists, top records set by legends like a Whitney or a Prince or a Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
I think you mentioned this in the video too. I really don't feel too bad about it because music nowadays really isn't gauged at the same in the same way it was back then.
Mhm.
Because of like streams versus album sales and things of that nature. I mean,
Yeah.
not to be, blunt about it, but almost anyone could put out a song right now and become a hit.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't even listen to a lot of current music. Like I said, typically if I'm walking around a store or I'm in the post office or whatever, I'm more privy to hear things that I wouldn't, go out of my way
Mhm.
to listen to. Like, what's that Cardi B WAP or whatever? Like that
Yeah.
specific song.
Yeah.
I listened to the music. I looked at the music video when it first came out because it was everywhere. Wasn't a fan of the video, but the
Mhm.
beat, I
Yeah.
just heard the beat everywhere. I'm like, okay, I ain't
Mhm.
gonna lie, the beat's pretty sick. But other than that, I really do think that Michael, there was just so much more I wish he could have, accomplished because I
Yeah.
think you also did a video about like, and you can let me know if I'm wrong about this, but I think you did a video
Mhm.
called "What Would Have Happened If Michael Did This Is It."
Yeah. What would have happened if he would have survived This Is It and did more? Um, it's very sad to talk about, and I rewatched that one actually. It would have been a few months ago. And I had people send in like what they thought, and not a lot of people got too sad about it, and I think that's really cool because there's so much optimism. It doesn't necessarily have to be sad, but if you do think about it, there is so much he could do and would be doing right now, and that's why this is going to sound really corny, but that's why it's up to us now to handle that. It should be up to the higher ups, that own his likeness, but it's not. It's up to us, and we are. It's a big task, but I think we can do it.
That's great. And just like Prince's Friends channel, it's like he mentioned this all the time, after Prince passed, it's like it's up to the fan base to continue the legacy.
Mm,
And his channel, like your channel, I love watching videos that break down the tracks of different albums because there was so much. Well, Prince just put out so much content that I could never
yeah.
keep up. So I only knew
Hmm.
of a Purple Rain or a 1999 or the Batman soundtrack or Sign of the Time. So he just
Hmm.
kept putting out so much content I wasn't able to sit back, absorb it, and get something from it. Which honestly, that's the music industry today. It's like
Hmm.
everybody's about putting out a hot single as opposed to a great body of work, which is why I love Bruno Mars because that
Yeah.
man will put out an album and because what was the last one that came out? 24 Karat Magic.
Yeah.
He will just come. He's like Tupac or Elvis. People say they see him
Hmm.
and then he disappears. Like
Hmm.
he disappears for a while, drops an album that's so
Hmm.
good it can just stand by itself for like 3 or 4 years, and then comes back with something else.
Hmm.
He's one of the few
Uh,
artists today I can think of that does that.
The Weeknd is very cool. I love him.
Love that guy. What was I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs? I Feel It Coming. Like I remember when
Yeah.
that song came out. I just remember it because it came out around the time as the 2017 Power Ranger movie that was god awful.
Mm,
I went to the theaters to see it, and I heard the song when I was driving home. I'm like, okay. And then what I
yeah.
loved most about that music video, it had the classic 80s vibe. I went down
Mm,
to the comment section. Everybody was like, I thought this was a new Michael Jackson track when I first heard it.
mm,
Man,
yeah.
The Weeknd, Bruno, a couple of my favorites right there. But another thing, and the reason I brought up This Is It is because some of my favorite videos are when you go on your, I guess you call them rants. It's like when you get loud, I'm like, this dude is
Yeah.
passionate about what he's talking about, and I love it. It's like the video about This Is It, the anniversary edition or whatever that the estate was
Yeah.
putting out. It's like, you're going to give us
Good God.
that, but not Thriller or
Yeah.
Dangerous 25 or anything like that.
It's really patting themselves on the back. They're so arrogant because that was their project. It wasn't a Michael project. It was their project, and they're releasing an anniversary edition of their project. And that's just very arrogant. I think they're terrible people. I've made that very abundantly clear, I hope.
Oh yeah.
Um, but everyone asks me, they're like, well, since you do Michael stuff, if the estate contacted you and they were like, oh, well, we want to sponsor a video and send you stuff. No, I would not do it. And I don't know why people think I would do it. I just think we should, I would love to boycott them, but I don't think a lot of people would. I know that was kind of off what we were talking about, but yeah, This Is It, the This Is It box set. I know maybe one person that bought it, and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, yeah, I'm disappointed because it's really nothing. It's a book, a light up case, and a Blu-ray that already came out. Like they did the 3D Blu-ray, and that was the big selling point. You can watch it in 3D. 3D TVs were cool in 2009 when it came out. I have the 3D Blu-ray over there. It's not a new thing. It's just stuff that they had in their closet that they could copy real quick and put out for $500.
So they just, I mean, I imagine that guy bought it. He opened it up and just went, "This is it." Like,
Yeah.
What the heck, man? Like, I feel you. I
Yeah.
remember buying the DVD when it came out. I watched it one time, not because it was bad. It's just like one time was enough for me. It's like, that's okay. It's like I remember thinking like, what could have been, because he was really putting it all into this thing to pay off all the debts and whatnot. But then greed slipped in, and these people just started adding all these concert dates. So, what was the not the documentary, what's it called? Finding Neverland. It was like a Lifetime special.
Yes, Searching, I think it was.
Searching for Neverland. Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was like, dang, it just gave you insight into the life of again, not one of my favorites, but one of those where you get to know the man rather than the music. Because again, you think Michael, all you think about is Thriller, Billie Jean, and the allegations, but not so much what he was going through during that large, well, to be frank, the disappearance where he just disappeared. And I think that, well, one of the funniest moments to me was towards the end where he was Christmas shopping and he had the two guards, bless their hearts. I don't know how I would have hung in there if I were them. I'm not getting paid. My bills are due. Cars being repossessed. The one dude's wife took their child and left them, but they're still there for Michael. And he's carrying them around this store. Their hands are full. It's like, I want that one. Yeah. Give me those three over here. Yeah, I'll take those two. Hey, yoo-hoo. I want those at my house. And then it's like, hey, Bill, don't you want to get anything for your kids? We haven't been paid, sir. I would have tossed that stuff on the ground and left. And when they get to the register and he gives them the credit card and they got declined, and he's like, Mr. Jackson, just so you know, it's not authorized. You can't use the card. Well, Bill, I authorize you to use this card. Bless his heart. But I do think that it would have been interesting to see where Michael Jackson would have went after that time, especially with a lot of today's artists. Like maybe he wouldn't be performing and whatnot, but Mike could have been like a mentor or collaborator or whatnot. I feel like that's the one thing Prince had over him, in the sense that Prince's legacy was definitely directly touching other people, whereas Michael was just like a star, and he shined so bright that others were inspired by him. So that's another thing that wasn't on the list here, but I wanted to bring up. Like whenever someone, I don't know if you've been approached by this, but like when people ask you like about maybe like a Prince versus Michael Jackson kind of like discussion, what's your usual take on that?
Everybody thinks that because I run a Michael Jackson channel, I have to like Prince. I don't know anything. Because like you said, there's so much content. Like I've tried so hard to like start, because that's a very important thing I probably need to know. But there's so much, it's hard to go through. I've never done it efficiently. So, but overall, from what I do know, and that's just like small video clips and stuff, I don't think that, obviously they're comparable because they were around the same time, but when it comes to being humans, they were both, I don't think it's worth putting them against each other. You know, they liked each other. And I feel like people get too serious about it sometimes, where it's just like, you know, like a fun conversation to have.
Exactly. I agree. I know for me, like, I tried songwriting. I have binders of songs and poems I was
Mm-hmm.
doing during my later college years. Like I was like, I'm going to be a songwriter, but I got my degree in communications and whatnot, and it worked out because I'm using it doing this. But I know that for me, I began to appreciate Prince more during that songwriting era of my life,
Mm-hmm.
where I would just constantly be watching Purple Rain, and I just love that because, like you said, it's really not worth pitting them against each other. Like you can kind of
Yeah.
compare in terms of style, dance, technique, vocals, but it really doesn't matter who the best is. They're both
Yeah.
legends in their own lanes. And for Prince, I think what made him harder to follow when I was growing up is because he kept putting out so much content. But after like Purple Rain and watching all these documentaries and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, bandmates and everything do their interviews, you learn that after Purple Rain, Prince didn't care. He just wanted to put out what
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to put out instead of like a Purple Rain part 2 or part
Mm-hmm.
3. And with Michael, it kind of felt like after Off the Wall felt like that, you know, original Michael. And then when it came to
Mm-hmm.
Thriller, it was about putting out what would sell. And
Mm-hmm.
then Bad, this is something I read in one of those books. It's like with Bad, he wanted to outdo Thriller so badly
Mm-hmm.
that some people felt like that could be a detriment to his craft because he would be
Yeah.
focused more on the numbers than the quality of the music. But I like how Bad didn't outsell Thriller, but it broke other records that Thriller
Yeah.
didn't. So I just
Mm-hmm.
love that aspect of it. So when it comes down to it, I think Prince was more versatile being like a musician. Like I was blown
Mm-hmm.
away when I learned how many instruments he played, how many songs he wrote, how many songs
Mm-hmm.
he wrote for other people, all the songs in the vault and all of those things. But Michael Jackson was just a different level in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the Michael Jackson versus Beyonce, that's not even why do people even
Yeah.
bring that up? Like, what
I
was it?
don't know.
The homecoming event, which was impressive. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, it's impressive,
Yeah.
but what is it? I found again, Target. I always find the best thing in clearance. The Beyonce B-Day album, one of my favorites
Mm-hmm.
from. I love the early Beyonce, like her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then I love it. One of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Beyonce songs, "Irreplaceable." Whew, love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Beyonce's impressive. None to take
Yeah.
away. I feel like she's a legend in her own right in this time. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like what separates Beyonce and Michael is the fact that Michael's music touched everybody.
Yeah.
Beyonce is more geared towards a female audience. That's not to say there aren't males that like the music, but when I listen to Beyonce music, it definitely feels like they're anthems and whatnot, which again I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine with. But when we're comparing these two, I think Mike
Mm-hmm.
is just in. I remember watching the first several minutes of the Dangerous tour, and Mike
Mm-hmm.
popped out from the stage and just stood there. People
Yeah.
were fainting, they were losing their mind when he just went,
Mm-hmm.
took off his glasses, did the first
Mm-hmm.
kick. People fainted, lost their mind. Who
Mm-hmm.
does that? Not
Yeah.
Beyonce, not Justin Bieber, Michael.
Very true.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And then people want to compare. Well, Michael, that homecoming dance she did and everything. Mike ain't got nothing. Motown 25.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Beyonce is a beast. Synchronicity, the people behind her, flawless. But
Mm-hmm.
Mike was on that stage by himself, had the place turned out, did that
Mm-hmm.
moonwalk and killed it. Matter
Mm-hmm.
of fact, can you moonwalk? I think you.
I would like to say I can. I think I can, but probably can't if I
Yeah,
had to.
I don't think I've ever fully mastered it, which is one of the stains on Michael Jackson history.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended there. Like I got the spins, the kicks, but I feel like Chris Tucker's like, Chris, I love your routine, but you're kicking with the wrong leg. You're making me look bad. I just
Yeah.
love those kind of stories like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that overall, just the fact that Mike left such just a the blueprint of how to do music and
Mm-hmm.
set the bar high. Like, you don't have to be the next Michael Jackson, but he just inspired so many because of his work ethic. And that's something I feel like is going to last the test of time. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can go on and on. I have so many other topics to bring up, but I know you just you probably ready to start the weekend, man. But
Uh,
I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining in. But before we close shop, if you could just tell the people where they can find you on social
mhm.
media, your YouTube. I'll be sure to leave links to all that good stuff once I finish editing and posting.
Yeah, YouTube history in the mix. Mainly Michael Jackson. I got a bunch of stuff. There's A Submarine That's Yellow podcast, which is more Beatles conversations. But the main project right now is my music. Jason David, Apple Music, Spotify. There. The only single out right now is called "Who Are You Anymore." In my opinion, it's a really good song. Self-written by me. Um, it's really cool. I think you'll like it. It's not pop. It's not Michael. It's more rock and roll. But that's very cool, and I hope you all check that out.
Excellent. And another thing, I remember mentioning this a while ago in one of the videos. This was such a long time ago,
Mm,
but I just remember saying that in the comment section. What really drew me to your channel was the fact that a young man is making some quality content. And I know you've
mm,
improved over the years, but at that time, I'm like, he's not just up here putting out content to put out content.
mm,
He's putting out content to make fans aware. Hey, Mike was
mm,
here. He left a legacy. Now let's remember it. And that's the one thing I love when I talk to younger people. Like, I got a nephew who's only 10, so he really doesn't know fully what I do for a living. He does know I do YouTube and whatnot, but I know other people who are younger. They're like, man, cause I spoke at a middle school last year, and they're like, so what's it like to do YouTube and everything like that? And I just tell them, you don't know how, and not to sound old, I'm only 29, but not to sound like a senior, but kids, younger people, they don't know how good they got it nowadays, because
mm,
you can like create a career or a stream of income from your own home.
mm,
Because the biggest thing about today's time is social media, how you utilize it. You can either waste time on it or you can utilize it to make money. Like when I started my channel, there was no intention to make money. The only
mm,
reason I started my channel was because a friend recommended it, and it was a way to get more fans in one place.
mm,
And then there was a time where I had forgot. I think I hit a 40 or 100,000 watch hours. I forgot. I know one of my first
mm,
videos that took off was a Pokemon video. It was a rant about Ash losing to Kalos Lee when he made it to the finals. I remember wanting to leave. I left work early that day because I was pissed off. But that
mm,
video was my first one to kind of blow up. And my roommate was like, hey, why don't you try to get monetized? And I did. I remember getting like the first $600. I'm like, I can get paid for doing this.
mm,
So then a few months
mm,
later, I was making a couple hundred more, and then I quit my job and I started doing this full time. So it's just amazing to think
mm.
that you're
I didn't get monetized. I didn't get monetized for a long time. So like a bunch of the early history in the mix stuff I didn't do for money because like I wasn't old enough to need money specifically. So it was around the documentary time where I was growing up. I'm in high school now. I need money to go around, and so I did the information, and they collected the money that I had made with this for some reason. It was like I monetized, but I didn't claim it. And so after the Leaving Neverland stuff, sorry, not allowed to say that. After the documentary stuff came around, I was, I could do this for a career. I'm doing other stuff, music stuff, but no, it's very possible. Everybody, when you go up to someone and you're like, yeah, I want to make money off YouTube, people are thinking millions and millions of subscribers. That's not necessarily true. It's about how much you put out, how long everything is. Somebody with 20,000 subscribers could be fine for a while,
oh yeah. It's what is it
So
like the watch time and everything?
yeah,
Yeah.
very important.
And I think they just implemented something that, well, I'm not going to say numbers, let me put it this way.
Mhm.
I've been blessed over the past couple
Yeah.
months when they put out the what is it called? The mid video ads. Like if you have
Yeah.
videos that are like 7 or 10 minutes or longer, some of these videos I'm like, because a lot of my older content, the thing I love about doing multiple shows now is the fact that there are always new fans. It's like, oh, Greenleaf is on Netflix. I'm just watching it, but I see you did like 200 videos on it.
Mhm.
So all the videos I've ever done, today, I'm happy for today. I got one more milestone I want to reach because it will make 3. I don't know if you use this app. It's called Tube Buddy.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's a free. And look, they're not sponsoring any folks. You all know I use TubeBuddy. It's a free app. It's called TubeBuddy, and I'll send you a link about it after we're done. And it's like it's like a free statistic YouTube app. Like it tells you about your numbers and everything, and it sends you like these electronic certificates. It's like, oh, you reached 5,000 subscribers. So today I hit 142,500 subscribers. They sent me a milestone certificate for that. And then I uploaded some content today. So I'm at 3,850 uploads. I got a certificate for that. And the last upload, I don't know if I can hit this milestone today, but maybe tomorrow. I need 40,000 more views to hit 28 million views total.
Wow.
Yeah, so to get all
no, that is cool.
Yeah, trifecta. Yeah, it's a free app. It really helps you when you're building your platform, because it's easy to think, you know, I want to get, my biggest thing was hitting 100,000 subscribers for the plaque. You know, that was my long-term goal. And what I realized about it is, if you're looking at the 100K, you're not being happy about the milestones you're reaching along the way. So this helped me realize the small victories before I got to the big one. And you're absolutely right. When it comes to these views, it's insane. Like, there could be people who have 40,000 followers versus a channel that has 400,000. But the thing is, when you have a dedicated fan base, I think that means a lot more, especially when they're watching your content consistently. And if you put out merch, that you'll probably have a fan base more willing to buy it than someone who's just throwing something out there just to get a quick buck. So yeah, we just live in a day and age, folks, where anybody can get in front of a webcam or do a viral video or whatnot. But I like how we both are on the same kind of wavelength, where we're much rather building an audience slowly than putting out something that goes viral like that. Yeah. So oh yeah, well, I know we just went over where I said we would cut off, but dang it, this discussion was good. But JD, again, man, thanks so much for linking up. Such an honor to be here. And do you have any future videos you're working on that you want to tease us with, or is it still like in the works right now?
I'm writing one right now about unreleased stuff that's came out that people have leaked. So it's about if we should support that or not. That's what I'm working on. I don't know if it'll be the next video, but that's the one I'm writing right now. So we'll see if that ever comes out.
Okay, sounds good. But guys, like I said, he has a great collection of content. I can't wait to put this video out on the channel. I'll be sure to, I'll touch base with you to say, hey man, I want to put this on Twitter, YouTube, my Facebook group, Facebook pages, that people will see, because I think doing more videos like this, because thankfully I've been able to do videos with some of the cast of the shows I watch and review, and that's really inspired people to be like, yo man, I want you to talk to this person, that person. So hopefully this one video for a non-soap opera show will be the first of many. So once again, man, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Again, subscribe to History in the Mix. You can't miss out, because there's a lot of great content, and I'll talk to you all later. All right, again, thank you so much, JD, for joining me on the channel for that interview. Again, links to his social media will be in the top comment below. The podcast, A Submarine That's Yellow, his YouTube channel, History in the Mix, and I'll also leave links for his Twitter and Instagram as well. This was definitely a treat. And like I said during the interview, I feel like this interview itself was kind of birthed from the live streams I do, where we'll start off talking about, like, you know, Tyler Perry stuff, but then we'll shift gears into talking about music. And like in the interview, you know, I'll pull up a vinyl or two and like, hey, like, let's talk about this music. So again, I appreciate JD for joining me on the channel, and I appreciate you all for making it to the end of this video. So if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Is very much appreciated. Not mandatory, but appreciated. And if you can't donate financially, that's completely fine, because you looking at my content brings in ad revenue so I can pay bills. And I think we could all agree I do appreciate that. So again, thanks so much for tuning in. Comment what's your favorite part about Michael Jackson's career. You know, is there a favorite album? What are some of your favorite songs? And I'm just going to put this out there. Maybe one of these days I will do a interview with the YouTube channel Prince's Friend. I really do like that channel. I feel like it's a good, not a polar opposite, but a good complementary channel, where History in the Mix is the one for Michael Jackson, and then Prince's Friend is the one for Prince. So again, thanks so much, guys, and I hope you have a great day.